I'm Bob, and I'm an alcoholic. I've done the work that's laid out in the Big Book with the help of the Big Book Step Study sponsor, and I work on my amends. And I'm going to start off here by just inviting God in to guide my thoughts, guide my speech, so that I can share my experience with this step today. So when I think of the 12th step, it's I try to like all this stuff is like, it seems like huge, like when I I need to try my best to boil it down to like bumper sticker size so I can wrap my brain around it and try to understand even what they're trying to get across. And so when I do that, I think of this step as being about the promise, the charge, and the challenge. And, the promise being the fact that, I have had a spiritual awakening as a result of doing these steps. But again, the charge is the fact that I can't keep that spiritual awakening unless I continue to do this work. And like Mike did such a good job with it last week in laying out, and he really just went over what the literature tells us, how to work with a new guy. Again, I think that the literature is telling me that I need to do that in order to continue to keep that spiritual awakening. And then the challenge, of course, being, which is the part I wanted to drill down on this morning, was how we continue with this work. And I know that I hear a lot of people say that 10, 11, and 12 is the the maintenance steps, and as people have probably heard from me before, that rubs me the wrong way, because to maintain is to stay the same. I like to think of 10, 11, and 12 as like this way of life steps. And only because it's so easy for me to fall back on not doing this work, I guess. And so, a little while, so I guess all I can really do, around that is to share my experience with how I continue to do this. Like what motivates me, what gets me to continue doing this work. And it really is, a few things. Number one is, I have a routine. I have a routine of reading 10 and 11 every day and spending the time to answer the questions. Because I'm a wiggle off the hook kind of guy, I even when I say, I'm Bob and I'm an alcoholic and I've done the work, it's laid on the Big Book with the help of the Big Book Step Study sponsor, and I work on my amends. I leave it as that I work on my amends because, like for instance, last Saturday I made an amend to someone whom, when I initially did my amends, I didn't owe him one. But things come up, life goes on. And again, if I wasn't continuing to come to these meetings, continuing to work with guys, continuing to work with a sponsor, again, I would start to fall back. Rationalizing and justifying is my go-to. And I would, but as soon as that happened between me and that person, I knew that I was wrong. And I've heard many people, when they're referring to our amend work, Marianne, for instance, I remember hearing speak in here one day, and she said she's careful not to say, "I'm sorry if you felt," because that's what I would do. That's my sneaky little way of saying, I'm not really wrong, but I'm going to apologize for it anyway. You know what I mean? And so I really want to, own my stuff, if at all possible, and say, I was wrong. What I said or did was wrong. And because again, that sort of stuff doesn't come natural for me, and I don't think that unless I continue to come here, it's not going to happen. So again, like I said, I have a routine. Again, I read 10 and 11 every day, and when the person was talking about the 11th step a couple of weeks ago, she had said she's always interested in how other people look at that or practice that, or however you want to look at it, I have this routine, and I believe that that having a routine for me is helpful. I mean, it says that we're undisciplined people, and probably laying back would just be my go-to, but like I said, I read 10 and 11 every day, and before my wife and I leave the house every morning and go our separate ways, we hold hands and we say the third step prayer. And then we say whatever our individual prayers are, Oftentimes, we're praying for our daughter or somebody in the family. This morning for me, it was, my prayer was to be able to be part of the solution and not part of the problem, and try to not cause any more division in the world than there already is. Because I'm a pot stirrer by nature anyway, you know what I mean? But I do that with people that I'm kibitzing with, you know what I mean? But to actually, I don't want to, put that upon somebody who's not asking for it, So again, it's kind of this routine of, what do I continue to do, so that I can carry the message, that I can continue to allow people to be who they are, and again, it's probably the fact that I continue to come here and continue to row the boat, or however you like to think of it. The other day I was thinking to myself, I think perhaps it's just best if I, think of it, okay, Bob, you just got to continue to, chop wood, haul water, and don't get fancy, Just continue to do whatever it is that you have to do. And I'm going to let it go with that, and thank you.